Okay, now take a look at this. Guinness World Record certificate. The oldest journalist is Walter Bingham, who is 97-year-old and 90 days old, as verified in Jerusalem, Israel on the 5th of April, 2021. And Walter Bingham is one of ours. Shalom, Walter.
Hi, shalom, Yonah.
So first of all, Mazal Tov.
Thank you very much.
How's the feeling? I mean, you had a certificate already from the World Records about being the oldest radio talk show host.
That's right.
But this is big.
Well, it's very satisfying, you know, but, and particularly because I'm working. You see, 97 plus years old, if you have all your faculties and your mobility, then that's good. And I work, and it's, you see, the brain is a muscle, and you have to exercise your muscles, otherwise they decay. And that's what I'm doing. And so I'm working as a journalist, and I'm working for the last 17 years. I have a weekly, almost weekly show on Arutz Sheva, which is known, it's Walter's World. And that keeps me going.
And when you come to produce your shows and write your essays and all, you bring your expertise, you bring these years into what you're doing?
Oh, yes. Look, today things are so much different. Editing, I should have forgot to bring, I used to edit reel to reel. When you mark the reel that you want, the piece you want to cut out, you mark it with a chinograph, a white pencil, and then you have it goes across some contraption, and then you cut it with a special blade, and then you have the tape, and you tape it together.
Where's the MP3 file? That's not there, right? That's a different world.
That's today they don't realize, journalists don't realize when they edit how easy it is, because you can in fact make somebody sound exactly the opposite from what he wants to say by juggling with the pieces, taking them in.
Now, are you one of those who say, I miss those times, or are you actually saying, no, it's good that we have all the technology and everything's so much faster? What do you say?
People talk about the good old days. They were not the good old days. Today is much better. Young people can enjoy the technology and all those things. And there's a big difference. They were not the good old days, 80 years ago, or whenever I was born.
But in terms of journalism, how do you look at the situation today where basically everyone is a journalist with the Twitter and the Facebook and YouTube?
Well, the problem with journalism is there's no reporting anymore. Everything is biased. Even the one who wants to be an objective reporter, when you analyze what he says and how he says it, or how he writes it, you find a bias. But
maybe there's no reason to tell the story. For example, like 8 o'clock at night, there's a news edition in Israel. By 8 o'clock, everyone knows what happened. They want to understand why, how, what the different ideas are.
Okay, then you identify yourself like I do. I'm not a reporter anymore. I am a commentator.
You see, the problem are those who don't identify themselves.
That's right.
Sometimes they say that worse than someone saying his opinion is the little eyebrow going up or the face that they make after a report. That has power sometimes, even more than saying, I think this and that.
Well, body language is very important, and one has to understand body language. But I identify myself as a commentator and a storyteller. When I go out on some location to report from some place, I want to paint pictures in sound. That's my thing. I want you to feel that you are with me when I'm talking about the place that I'm describing. So it's painting pictures in sound.
How do people react to you sometimes? You don't look 97 years old, that's for sure. But you're not one of the, Galei Tzahal young boys running around with the microphone. How do people relate to you on the scene?
Very respectful. I must say that everybody has great respect. They help me, or they do things for me. I was before I came to the studio, I was sitting in a coffee place near the studio, and where everybody has to take their coffee. But after I paid, they actually brought it to the table.
Where's the Israeli chutzpah?
That is what I experience. I have only good experiences here.
What are your memories from the time of World War II that it's important for you, that they're not just memories, but they're for you lessons to what we're seeing today, to understanding the proportions maybe?
Well, I take those lessons and apply them today. Look, politically, in Europe, we're living in the 1930s. And I don't want to digress into that. In my view, we're living in the 30s, and people don't realize it, because I talk about these things, and I remember the development of Nazism from, I wasn't born in World War I, I was born in 1924, with the war finished in 18, but it was still fresh. And I'm talking about the development after the First World War. How did it all happen? Why did this man come to power? And
you're saying that it could happen today?
Yes.
It could happen today?
It could happen today, yes. It could happen today. And people don't realize it, because there's not enough being done to stop it.
Now that's in terms of Europe, but in terms of Israel, when you see people kvetch about the situation, do you look back and say, guys, take things in proportions?
Yeah, well, I made Aliyah, and it's the best thing I ever did in my life, other than marrying my wife and having my daughter. So we are very fortunate. We have a country, and we have to make sure that we keep it and we develop it in the way that it has the Jewish flavor.
Maybe that's the big difference. When you talk about Europe, and you're saying that it's the same almost as the 1930s, the big difference is that we have the State of Israel.
We have the State of Israel, absolutely, and it must have a Jewish flavor. I don't want to be a fundamentalist, a extremist, but there is a nice middle way, and we have to make sure that we have it.
Walter Bingham, let's end with your message to our viewers around the world.
Whatever you undertake in life, finish it. Don't jump from one thing to another. Don't try and be a jack of all trades. If you believe in something, follow it up. Go to the end of it. And your convictions, whether political or religious, don't be swayed. Stay with it.
Arutz Sheva's Walter Bingham, the oldest journalist in the world. Thank you very much, and good luck.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.